TC America, powered by Skip Barber, has arrived here in the Lone Star State of Texas, ready to take on the world-famous Circuit of the Americas. The new era of TC America got underway last month at Sonoma Raceway, where the new short race format saw Jeff Rica take dominant wins with fierce battles sprinkled throughout the field behind him. Hello and welcome to Circuit of the Americas. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside. Amanda Busick will be patrolling the pits for us. Plenty of stories, but Calvin, maybe chief amongst them is the weather. You might be noticing we're getting off to a delayed start. We had a sudden squall move through the area of the track. That included some lightning, which put us on a delay, and also, Calvin, dropped a lot of rain in a short amount of time. However, what we've seen of the track, at least, appears to have dried out rather rapidly.
It really does. It's quite a warm day here, of course, here in Texas, and I see the safety vehicle out there right now just doing a final recce to make sure the track is ready to go. There may be some dampness out there. I think you've got to really, we see the other side of the picture right now. This is down into turn 11, so pretty much a deluge down there. So if any of the drivers do elect to gamble a little bit and go wet weather tires, they'll have an advantage on half the race circuit, and trying to manage that in terms of not overheating those tires on the dry part that we saw up into turn 1.
These are shorter races this year, just 25 minutes rather than 40, and maybe that changes the calculus a little bit when teams are deciding whether or not to try and make those wet weather tires last. Fewer laps that you have to go around the drying track, maybe it's worth a gamble?
Yeah, I get your point. You know, shorter distance in terms of time for the races this year, so you don't have to hang on for quite so long as this race. We don't anticipate any further rain before the checkered flag here tonight, so yeah, bit of a gamble, and I think if you're on the back foot a little bit, why not take a chance? But I think one thing we have to factor in as we see some of the teams now getting ready here for potentially changing to those big treaded wet weather tires is the fact that we do have some four-wheel drive cars in this field.
Quite right. We have a nice mix, actually. We've got a rear-wheel drive BMW. We've got some front-wheel drive cars, but the Toyotas that debuted at Sonoma that are still looking to find a little bit of pace, they might be doing a rain dance. You say we are not expecting more rain. We weren't expecting the rain that came through either. So if we should get another sudden storm, I think the Toyota teams, including JMF, would absolutely love to see it.
Yeah, for sure. They're a little bit down on horsepower right now. They expect to get an upgrade in time for the next round at Sebring, but certainly straightaway speed is their main concern in terms of getting on the pace. But the car's a really great little race car, handled super well, and in treacherous conditions like we're going to see in some of the corners around there, they should come to the forefront a little bit.
Jonathan Newdorf, Antonio Constantino, the two drivers for JMF in that new Toyota touring car, but also James Klimas from the Skip Barber stable. They'll be hoping to see a little bit of rain because of the four-wheel drive platform, and that should excel when conditions are slick. Well, we talk about the weather as a storyline. This track certainly is as well. It's a real challenge even before you throw the wet track, at least on half of the track, into the equation.
It really is. I mean, it's immense. When you arrive here at Circuit of the Americas, it's been home to a U.S. Grand Prix since back in 2012. It's a massive facility. It's beautifully laid out. It's just under 3.5 miles in length with 20 really demanding corners. Lots of elevation change here. Most of that is the run up into turn 1, where you can brake incredibly late because of how much slowing down you'll get once you get to that middle pedal and slow things down. But then you head down through the S's. It's really cool where so much of this circuit has really been incorporated from previous Grand Prix designs from around the globe, like Silverstone. The center S's are there from Interlagos. You got the triple apexer, 16, 17, 18, which is turn 8 for the Istanbul Grand Prix, the Turkish Grand Prix. So wonderful circuit. Drivers really love it, and there's plenty of racing room out there. Certainly
so. Well, the season might have started a couple of weeks ago at Sonoma, but the championship within a championship, that is this brand new Hyundai N Trophy Cup, it starts here. 4 rounds of the TC America Championship will pay points towards this new Hyundai N Trophy Cup, and we'll talk about that in a moment. We'll also talk about some of the newcomers to the championship, including the pole sitter, Gyumin Kim, a champion 2 times over in Korea. He'll start alongside his team boss, Jeff Rica. In row number 2, that's where you'll find Michael Garcia for the Skip Barber Racing team, and the best placed of the Acuras, then the veteran PJ Gronke starting in the 4th spot. In 5th, we welcome Eric Coons to the championship. It's his series debut. He'll have the returning Nick Roberts, a Texan from Fast Track Racing, alongside. Then we drop back. Connor Attrell, who won a race in the championship at Indianapolis a year ago. You'll have the Canadian Jonathan Newdorf for company in row 5. And in row 6, Antonio Constantino and James Klimas from JMF and Skip Barber, respectively, in the second race outing for that new Toyota Corolla. Sounds like the plan is to leave the paddock area and head out on track here shortly. As you can see, the cars now forming up on the grid. Everything slightly delayed because of the weather that rolled through, but the good news is it looks like the lightning has cleared off and we're about to get started. Let's talk about some of those new names, and certainly Gyuman Kim, super impressive to qualify on the Rover pole position in his first time ever racing here in the States. It's not a name that the North American audience is likely to be familiar with, but back home in South Korea, he's already a two-time champion.
Yeah, super impressive to come here on debut and put in the performance that he did in qualifying. Obviously, race is a different story. He's got his team boss and championship leader right alongside him, Jeff Ricker. But the Hyundais are certainly the dominant force right now. We expect that to change as some of the other manufacturers do make some performance adjustments throughout the championship season. But yeah, to come here, I mean, it was a great qualifying session. It was nip and tuck between he and Ricker, each of them just stealing away the fastest sector times. But ultimately, he had the pole by a solid half a second plus. So he's going to be looking to try and get a nice clean start here. Again, Jeff Ricker has the experience. Turn 1 here, you got to navigate it successfully, get through there as a funneling effect as everyone seems to spread out and then try and dive down to that apex. You can brake incredibly late, but obviously you don't have the tire temperature that you have a little bit deeper into the race to work with as well. So it's a real adjustment there to exactly hit the brake pedal at the right time and not make a mistake.
Our pole sitter, Gyuman Kim, he told me he'd never raced here at Circuit of the Americas, of course, but did turn a lot of laps on iRacing in preparation, driving the Hyundai TCR car. And he actually said, I felt like I was super well prepared when I arrived. I knew my way around, and there wasn't a massive difference in terms of how he drove in the sim versus how he drove this track in real life.
Well, the simulators are so good now. They're so akin to reality once you get to the racetrack. Elevation change is one thing that you really can't replicate on the simulator, but understanding the layout, getting your braking points, you certainly can.
Well, we talk about the weather conditions and perhaps the choice that these teams need to make with tires, Amanda. What are you seeing down on the grid?
Well, I'm seeing cars, which is a great thing, and happy to say that we're going to get this race settled here. Started at COTA less than 30 minutes from that rain hold, so well done by all the teams of getting this ready and us to get this race under well. I want to pick up on the story that you were talking about, Jeff Ricker, and all the new talent that we see here this weekend and that we'll see this season. Jeff told us back at Sonoma that he plans to have 8 or 10 different drivers making their return or debut into this series. And Ryan, you've already mentioned a couple of them that will be competing in that Trophy Cup. I also want to welcome back Nick Roberts. You'll see him in the lone BMW on track here today. He was hoping there would be more company out here, but excited to be surrounded by the talent in this field. We'll see him at a couple other races as well, but that's Gyuman Kim, and that's the guy that you've been talking about, a 2-time Korean champion in the field, and gave Jeff Ricker a little bit of a run for his money for the pole position today. Jeff told me that he is doing his best to learn from Gyuman today, but we know that Jeff is a master out here. So, guys, it's going to be a fun one here as we get started. And what's better than racing into the sunset here in Texas?
It should be a lot of fun for sure. If you don't mind, Amanda, take a look up and down that grid if you can before they roll off, and just see if anybody decided to roll the dice on the rain tires. I suspect as long as it's been now since the rain has come through, it shouldn't take long even for that damp section to dry out. That would be a big gamble, Cal, but if you're starting out back, maybe it's worth a roll of the dice.
Yeah, I think exactly that. If you have poor track position, or maybe those four-wheel drive, the Toyotas we talked about, maybe they throw all of the chips on the table there and go for every bit of grip they can have in that section of the racetrack. We haven't had a good look at all of the corners yet, so we see this formation lap. That'll give us a better indicator to how much of the racetrack they're going to have to deal with in those wet conditions.
Here comes the field. 10 cars strong here this weekend, which is up from the opening round at Sonoma. We talk about this as a transition year for TC America. A lot of changes. 3 classes in previous years, now condensed down into 1, and we're at a transition point as well for a number of manufacturers with some new machinery that's in the works, kind of behind the scenes. So this is setting the foundations for what we anticipate to be a really strong future for TC America.
I think so. There's been a lot of talk in the paddock even this weekend in terms of identifying what TC is all about for this year. I spoke to a few team owners who are in different classes and championships here in the paddock who want to be on that grid for next year. We talked about the manufacturers, BMW building a car, the fact that Toyota have had a pretty solid start, really. I mean, they really have beautiful looking car that they're dealing with that little Corolla TC. They need a bit more power. I think the simulation and what the lap time was anticipated to be in terms of being in the box performance window was not quite what we saw at Sonoma. I think the bar is a little bit higher than that, so they've got to make some adjustments. This is turn 7, 8, 9 that we're looking at there, and you know, that's probably, sure if it runs all the way down the back straight with the rain and into turn 12, the brake zone there as well, but tricky section of the racetrack to deal with if you are still on the dry weather tires.
Yeah, very much so, and Amanda has told us that indeed everyone has gone with the slicks. So they'll have to make do, especially for the first few laps. Once the temperature builds in the slick tires, it should handle this relatively light amount of moisture fairly well, but the first few laps could be really tricky.
It can, and there you can see we're running down the back stretch. That's about 0.6 of a mile long there, so it's a real dyno run down into the turn 12 braking zone, and it looks like the water is all the way down there. As you can see, water spraying off those front tires there of the leading cars as they head into turn 12.
As drivers scurry around and look for the grip, because next time by, when they find this at speed.
By the way, the clock has started. You can see our pole sitter there, Gyumin Kim, just testing out what's available to him. Talk about drinking from the fire hose. He's never been here before, and now he's treated with a half-wet, half-damp racetrack. This is going to be a real challenge for him in his first start at Circuit of the Americas. So even though we're just rolling out on the formation lap here, clock already starting to tick down, and a already very short race just got shorter, so there's no time to sit and wait. They need to go as soon as the green flag comes out.
Yeah, and we're seeing full course yellow being displayed on our timing and scoring screen, so I think we may get another lap before they unleash these race cars into green flag action. Just give these drivers another lap just to fully feel out the sort of grip they got to play with. I had a really interesting chat with Scott Dollarhite last night here. We went for a track preview, which will be in our GT World Challenge show tomorrow and on Sunday, about the grip and driving here in the rain. He's got a ton of experience here, thousands of laps literally around this circuit. He said the red and white paint, treacherous, but he said you get to the green, it's like Velcro. So if you start to go for a bit of a ride, hang on there, get to that green paint, which is a little bit further out of bounds, and you may pick up some grip.
Well, that's track knowledge that maybe some of the veterans have, but we've got a lot of newcomers here. What lies in store for them? How important are these 2 laps behind the safety car just to make sure you know what kind of grip is available to you the first time in anger?
Oh, really important. I think it's great what John Ferguson is doing here in terms of giving these drivers another lap just to feel out the conditions. But the clock has started, and it's winding down rapidly here behind the safety car, so everyone's going to be up on the wheel and recognize there's going to be a lot of anxiety and urgency to get this one going, get up to speed quickly.
Certainly so. Jeff Rika will start second, of course champion in the TC class a year ago, and he heads up this massive flotilla from Rika Autosport. Brought once again even more cars under the tent here for this weekend, and such an important start as well for that championship within a championship, which is the Hyundai In Trophy Cup. Some really cool prize packages on offer. You can already see the cooperation between Hyundai South Korea and Hyundai North America in effect, with Gyumin Kim getting the chance to come and make this one-off appearance here in TC America. But there's some neat prizes on offer for Americans in Hyundai machinery looking at the global picture down the road.
Yeah, and I think they've announced that Kim is going to run at the Nürburgring 24-hour race with Jeff Rika Autosport as well. So that's pretty cool that the 2 gentlemen on the front row of the grid may be teammates a little bit later this summer.
Yes, that's the plan. They should be teammates in a team of 4, sharing one of these exact cars. In fact, Jeff shipped one of his cars over to Germany to take part in that race coming up in June. It's about a month and a half or so away. The two teammates will pull up alongside of one another, getting ready to go to get this race started. Down under 20 minutes to go already with the short race format, and then the 2 laps behind the safety car to kick things off in these treacherous conditions. So it will be an all-out sprint to the checkered flag. The Korean champion, Hyun Kim, on the Rova pole position, with Jeff Rika, the team boss, the veteran, and the champion here in North America alongside. Korean champ against the North American champ on the front row. Then Michael Garcia, PJ Gronke in row 2. Eric Coons and Nick Roberts alongside one another in row number 3. Connor Attrell, a race winner a year ago. He'll start 7th in row 4 next to Jonathan Neudorf, Antonio Constantino, and James Klimas back in row number 5. Good alignment from the field coming out of turn 20. They passed the finish line, looking ahead to the start line. Different, of course, here at Circuit of the Americas, looking for the green flag, and there it is. Good getaway from Hyun Kim, the pole sitter, and right there in his tire tracks is Garcia, who pulls up alongside of Jeff Rika. The battle is for second spot, coming up the hill for the first time. Few windshield wipers on, but this part of the track is mostly dry, but it won't be so dry in just a couple of turns, as the rain that came through still lingers through the S's. Good getaway for the pole man, and Rika was able to hang on, I believe, for the second spot.
He did. He kind of ran that wide line there up through turn 1, so that's where the experience kicked in there, and chases after his young leader there, Kim. Beautiful start there, controlled the start perfectly. See a little bit of battling here mid-pack, and at about this point in the racetrack, it's going to start to really get slick as we get to that few corners that have got the rain still on them.
Scrap here between Connor Attrell in the Hyundai, Jonathan Neudorf in the Toyota. Give the edge at the moment to Attrell in the Hyundai, but look at Neudorf putting that four-wheel drive to use, closing in. This is where the four-wheel drive should excel in these tricky half-wet, half-dry conditions.
Yeah, ducks it down to the inside. This is turn 11, that really low-speed corner on that back straightaway. Neudorf is on the march here for that number 4 JMF Toyota.
One of several drivers in this field pulling double duty across multiple championships. He's able to grab the spot, but Attrell looks to fight back. This is that long drag strip of a back straightaway that leads into a great passing opportunity. And for the moment, Attrell in the Hyundai was able to blitz back by and take the spot back.
Yeah, it's no contest right now in terms of the straightaway speed between the Toyota and the Hyundai, but they're going to be working on that rapidly over the next few weeks. We get to the next round of the championship.
There's Neudorf back around. However, Attrell fights back, gets to the inside. Roberts, who slipped back a couple of spots at the start, he's watching, waiting in the wings in the white BMW. Home track, of course, for the fast track racing team. Neudorf again lunging up the inside of Attrell. Great duel between these two, and now Neudorf has run down the debutant Eric Coons.
Yeah, you see Neudorf and Measley going on the defense there up in the approach to this triple apexer. 16, 17, 18, beautiful flow coming off this down the hill. Use all of the road on the entry here and fire it through this one out of bounds. You got to watch the track limits. I'll be touching some part of that white line with the race car, otherwise you'll get called on that.
Hyun Kim has come through to lead lap number 1. Rika, Gronke, Garcia, the top 4, but the fight is for 5th. Good run out of the final corner. Neudorf pulled alongside Coons, but Coons starting to build that gap down the front straightaway. And look how vulnerable the Toyota is in a straight line. That's allowed Attrell to come back on the attack.
Certainly has, but Neudorf is pushing hard, takes the wide line up through there, kind of splits the two Hyundais, then goes back on the attack. He just wants to keep it close all the way up to that second sector where the wet track is, and he can go to work there with that four-wheel drive.
Sitting patiently, very aggressive though through the S's, that first section. Neudorf in the tire tracks of Eric Coons. Coons, the Canadian, making his first trip down here. We've got Korean champions, we've got North American, TC America champions. Coons himself, a Canadian touring car champion just a season ago.
Right there through turn 8 as we start to encounter the wet track once again. And this is where Neudorf will have an advantage. Decides not to push it there. He's going to try and really look for getting good exit speed off of this corner. He may get alongside the Hyundai, but I think that horsepower is then going to kick in. and he might not be able to do anything with it.
Already you can see a dry line starting to form where the track was wettest. Coming into the start of the race, Neudorf drops to the inside, trying to guard that against the counterattack here for Connor Attrell. They've had a really good battle here in the early stages. Attrell does motor up alongside, but in the brake zones, the Toyota has been pretty stout.
It really has. And he wants to push. He knows that this first half of the race is really his only chance. He's got to get that track position and try and hang on. Conditions are going to start to dry out and take away the little bit of advantage that he does have in some of the corners.
Kim's lead just under a second over Ricca. PJ Gronke has up into third. That's an improvement for PJ. Champion in his own right a year ago.
Yes, he was, and spoke to PJ this lunchtime, and he's so buoyant about this opportunity here with such a professional race team and the support of Hyundai. He said, I've been over the data, and he said, I've just got to get rid of my TCB, TCA momentum style of driving. He said, Jeff Ricca was giving me a hard time. Why have you got so much steering input coming off the corner when you're hard back to power? And he said, that's how I used to have to drive. You got to treat these cars a little bit more delicately than that, but he's certainly learning quickly.
He is. He's under attack at the moment, though, for Michael Garcia. Now, a year ago, PJ in the TCA class, where he was the champion, had a really good battle in several races with Michael's brother, Alex. And now it's the younger brother, Michael, who has jumped into the TC America Championship, and he's right there on the back bumper of the Canadian PJ Gronke. Fastest lap of the race last time by went to Jeff Ricca, who has run down his teammate, Kyumin Kim.
Yeah, I think he's loving having this young Korean driver here in his camp and running so quickly, but you know he wants to be the boss, literally, not only of his race team, but also on the racetrack.
Kyumin did contest the Nürburgring 24 a year ago, finished second in class. In addition to everything he's done racing in Korea, and his team boss from DCT Racing, Jay Park, he's here supporting his young driver. Got a chance to chat with Jay a little bit earlier in the weekend, and he said he plucked Kyumin off of iRacing. He said he saw something special in him, threw him in a touring car. First year, he was second in the championship. In the last 2 years, he's won in very similar machinery to what he's driving here in TC America.
Garcia, big draft down the back stretch, gets to the inside of PJ Gronke as a duel here in turn 12. Garcia has the inside line. Gronke tries to run the outside there, and he's going to have the inside line for the upcoming corner, turn 13.
PJ keeps that car locked in to that inside lane, but now the track comes back the way of Michael Garcia. That's the beautiful part of this section of track. There's so many opportunities to cross over, to overlap. Pretty well covered off there by Garcia, who's up into third, final step of the podium, but Gronke tries to fight back.
Yeah, Gronke's car looks really good through this long duration triple apexer. And the flow here is fantastic coming down the hill, getting all the way out and just firing it here through turn 19, but watching the out of bounds. Critical corner here to get the launch and get that sprint up this start-finish straight.
Kyumin Kim answered back. He's got the new fastest lap of the race. That's important because fastest lap of race 1 sets the grid for race 2 tomorrow. Garcia now with a little bit of breathing room, having made the pass on PJ Gronke. Garcia looking for his second podium in 3 races to get started. He was runner-up in race 1 at Sonoma. This battle hasn't gone anywhere, has it? As Neudorf continues to fight with Attrell.
Roberts is closing in on this little battle as well in the BMW there for fast track racing.
Yeah, certainly is. Didn't get the best of starts, but has settled into a nice rhythm. Continues to put some pressure on here as Neudorf noses ahead. They'll go side by side though through the S's. Oh, that was tight. Neudorf's able to take the spot. Attrell forced to settle back in line for now.
This racetrack is so much fun. As long as you give each other a little bit of breathing room and respect, you can have a really fun encounter for several corners, one after the other, and still survive.
We'll see Neudorf racing in GT4 America, the 3-hour endurance race. A little bit later on, Roberts went wide, dropped a couple of wheels in the mud.
Really wide, and Constantino's not that far behind either.
Oh, Roberts late on the brakes. This is a late lunge into the wet part of the track as well. Looked like Cottrell saw him coming, gave him a wide berth. It was able to get a nice run out of the corner. He'll jet back around.
That's good for Neudorf.
It is, exactly. Gives him a brief respite.
That's true.
But you could tell this is something that Toyota knows. They're working on an update that will bring a little bit more power to that platform. But they're closer to the window, certainly here at COTA, than they were on debut at Sonoma. It goes to show this is an active development project from Toyota and Gazoo Racing.
Absolutely. There's tremendous support from Toyota and the JMF group. They said we had an engine issue at Sonoma before we even got the car back to the garage. Toyota people were there with a fresh motor and helping us go through the change. So they believe in this race car, believe in this program. It's just going to take a while to fully find their feet.
1.6 liter, 3-cylinder turbocharged engine in the Toyota GR Corolla TC to give it its full moniker. 8-speed transmission, 4-wheel drive, as we've talked about a couple of times. Where around this track might that 4-wheel drive be particularly beneficial?
Well, it should certainly help you launch off some of these low-speed corners, but the problem is normally that's a big factor. Oh, he's out of bounds there. That'll be a warning. But obviously you're hoping that with any tire degradation that could be a factor as well in terms of giving you an advantage later in the going. But because we started the clock as soon as we rolled cars here this evening, that's really shortened this racetrack, this race distance enormously.
Yeah, last year, even at the 40-minute race distance, if it ran green the whole way, you were rewarded for looking after your tires. This year, it is a different equation, just 25 minutes under normal circumstances. We had the first 2 laps behind the safety car due to the mixed track conditions that we were dealing with at the start of the race today that ate away a good chunk of the time. So I'm not sure that that's an advantage that is likely to materialize in any meaningful way here today at least, but perhaps tomorrow.
Neudorf is really eating into that gap. So the next car up the road a little bit. Koons sits there in P5 right now, but Neudorf is right with him as they plunge down the hill into the turn 11 brake zone. Oh, looks to the inside, slides to the inside. Beautifully judged.
Great job as well from Koons to recognize that that lunge had been made, nearly turned in on the Toyota, but gave enough room, opened that wheel enough, and Neudorf is through, at least for now. That's for the 5th spot at the front of the field. Jeff Rika shadowing Yuman Kim, looking for a way around, but Kim has been outstanding in his first ever start here in TC America.
He really has. He hasn't flinched, and you know Jeff Rika is one of the cleanest drivers out there. He's going to wait and bide his time and see if he can find any weakness in the young driver ahead of him's arsenal here. But time is not on his side. 6.5 minutes to go in this race.
And you know Jeff's thinking about the championship, of course, and he knows that Yuman Kim is not doing the rest of the season. So if you're going to lose points to someone, might as well be your teammate in a car that you own who is not going for a title.
Yeah, but that ego kicks in at a certain point. You want to win. You want to give the young man a great experience on debut here in North America, but you certainly don't want to give him the victory. Neudorf, look what he's been able to do here. He pushes Koons a little bit wide there into the brake zone for 19, and he's gapped these 2 Hyundais. He's done an amazing job of racecraft here in trying to maintain that top 5 position.
Yeah, really impressive young driver. Broke onto the scene in GT4 America last year. Comes out of kind of small displacement, you know, touring car style racing. He's got company to the outside though, as Koons is crowding him, keeping him low on track, compromising his entry. But Neudorf, neat and tidy, using every bit of track limits that's allowed, and he's able to hang on to the spot.
He has, and he's just going to drive the wheels off this Toyota, literally coming down here through the S's to try and gap these Hyundais before they get to that backstretch once again.
This is where he needs to make hay, right? This is where the car's got an advantage and certainly doesn't have the same deficit that it does in maybe the early parts of Sector 1 and certainly parts of that back straightaway as well.
Yeah, he's really hitting his marks well. He's using up as much curb as he possibly can without running afoul of the steward's room in terms of giving him a warning. Now he's off the road there. pushed it a little bit too hard, but look at the gap that has created. That's going to maybe take him out of range for these Hyundais to pass him on this backstretch before turn 12.
Yeah, that's what he'll be trying to do, build enough of a buffer where he's not so vulnerable at the end of the backstretch. Under 5 minutes to go already. Human Kim leads by 0.6 of a second over Jeff Rica. Michael Garcia has turned in some really good sector times as of late. He's been keeping pace with the top two. The trouble is that fight with PJ Gronke cost him a lot of time. He's now 6.2 seconds off the lead. Here we go again at the end of the straightaway. Coons does pull up alongside. They go side by side, and that forces Coons awfully wide there. He's got the inside now through this section here. Neudorf trying to carry a lot of speed to make the outside line viable.
Yeah, that was some great battling there. I thought he'd have enough room as he entered the back straightaway, but the Hyundais are all over him going through turn 12. Coons is doing a really nice job here of harrying the Toyota driver, trying to get that position back again.
Coons by the skin of his teeth, able to fend it off, I should say, by Neudorf in the Toyota. Now Coons slips up a little bit. That opens the door for his teammate, Connor Luttrell. How long can you be patient with your teammate trying to make the move, or does Connor now put the bit between his teeth and start to go?
Yeah, and they got to watch out as well. Roberts is there right with them with the BMW, so as they fight here and compromise their racing line a little bit. Look at Neudorf. He's got a nice gap again here as they stretch their legs climbing the hill up into turn 1. Ton of elevation change here, about 135 feet for the whole track. The majority of it is right here, and it allows you to brake incredibly late with the 11% gradient here into that brake zone.
Here comes Roberts. I don't know.
That was too tight.
Him. Luckily, they're all able to continue
damage
on. But there is damage for Coons.
Yeah, left rear is broken, I think.
Yes, good spot, Cal. And with 2 minutes, 55 seconds to go, that looks like the day done for the number 77. Let's look at it again. It was a late lunge from Roberts.
Yeah, a lot of commitment there, and Coons didn't give him an extra car width at the apex either, so it's inevitable that they would have contact there, and you can just touch one of these wheels in the wrong point, and you'll just crack one of those A-arms connecting rods on the suspension really, really quickly.
It's left Roberts vulnerable now to Antonio Costantino in the second of the JMF Toyota Corollas.
He's had a much quieter race than his teammate.
Whoa.
Look at this. Kim up on 2 wheels there through turn 13. He is feeling the heat from behind.
I suspect he might have caught one of those apex curves and it kicked the car up 2 wheels in the air. That was almost disaster for the race leader, but it settled back down, and now he's trying to build that gap back. Let's look at it one more time. Keep an eye on the leader here, Human Kim. Look at that bicycling. The right side's up 1.5 feet in the air.
That was wild. That got his attention, and also his teammate and team boss right behind him as well.
Should see the white flag this time by. There it is. For the leaders, Human Kim trying to win on debut. His team boss, the championship leader, Jeff Rica, undefeated on the season, sits in his toe, but not close enough to threaten.
Rica has fast lap of the race. That'll give him pole position for tomorrow's event.
Yep, took it back on that last lap. That saw Human Kim with 2 wheels way up there, having clipped that apex curb through the tight stuff in Sector 3. It hasn't seemed to faze him at all. He continues on.
Well, maybe he got word that you don't have fastest lap. Let's see what he can lay down in this final tour of the racetrack.
Oh, a personal best first sector from Human Kim as he goes off in pursuit of the fast lap and pole for race number 2. Incident under review. Unsurprisingly, that was the contact between Roberts and Coons that has taken Eric Coons out of his debut race in TC America. Hate to see that for the young man. Hopefully that car's repairable. Suspect it is in time for race 2 tomorrow. But what a story this would be for the 2-time Korean champ to turn up stateside for the first time and perhaps take victory, fending off the team boss.
And both these drivers have really ramped the ante up here in the last few laps. They were only about a tenth clear of Michael Garcia for fastest lap, and now they're 7/10 clear of the rest of the competition.
Middle sector was good, not great from Gyumin Kim. He's not necessarily just thinking about this race. He could be thinking about that fast lap and the pole that comes with it, so he's still pushing.
Just has turn 20 left to go.
Just a couple of turns left for Gyumin Kim. His first ever race on U.S. soil. This would be a fantastic result for him, representing the talent pool that Hyundai is starting to cultivate, and they have been over the past few years.
Yeah, and you know he'll have explored every single line around this racetrack on that simulator prior to getting here, and has put him in great shape for this first race of the weekend.
Just one corner left to negotiate. Gyumin Kim for Rika Autosport through turn 20, looking for the checkered flag. It waves. Gyumin Kim and Rika Autosport, they go 1-2, but it's the Korean champ edging the American champ. Fastest lap of the race goes back to Gyumin Kim. That will be pole for race 2 unless someone else can snag it away. Garcia completes the podium. He comes home in third, 10 seconds behind the two Hyundais. This battle continues to rage though. Closing in on Neudorf. Here's Connor Ritrell. He takes a peek to the inside but doesn't commit to making the move. Just a couple of corners to go as Neudorf looks to deliver a top 5 here at Circuit of the Americas. Through the final left-hander, puts the power down. Both cars go wide and over the curbs. There's the checkered flag, and Neudorf does hang on. Hurried and harried for the better part of 20 minutes, and Jonathan Neudorf hangs on to finish in 5th. Down to Amanda in the pits.
Hey Ryan, and Jay Park was right here to welcome Gyumin Kim to the finish line for his first on American soil, and Ryan told the story of how you found him on the broadcast. How proud are you watching what he did here today?
Yeah, so actually my driver, Mr. Kim, just first time visit here, but he got a pole position and he win the race. This is amazing. Whoa!
What are you going to say to him when you see him?
I'm not sure, but we just replay our today race and prepare the next tomorrow race. Yeah.
Always preparation, guys. Congratulations to Gyumin Kim.
Yeah, already thinking about race 2, and I'm sure
They were thinking of race 2 on the last lap, delivering that message about you just got beef for fast lap. If you want pole tomorrow, make something happen, and he did. He delivered.
Here's a fun stat for you, Cal. The top 3 cars each had a best sector, but none of them more than one. Michael Garcia had the best sector one time. He finished in 3rd. Jeff Ricka had the best middle sector. He finished 2nd. And Gyumin Kim, sector 3, his sector 3 was the best. Of course, the race winner goes to show there's quite a bit of parity between those 3.
And even though it was a Hyundai 1-2, I mean, the Acura there for Garcia was extremely rapid here today, so that should give him a good hope for tomorrow's race.
Definitely seemed to get better as the race progressed as well. Congratulations to Garcia. That's his 2nd podium of the season to go along with the 2nd place in race 1 at Sonoma. Here are the provisional race results, and Gyumin Kim by 1 second fends off Jeff Ricka. Fantastic race between the pair of them. Michael Garcia 3rd for the Skip Barber team. PJ Gronke gave a good fight there as he was looking for his 2nd podium of the season. He'll have to settle for 4th, but maybe the drive of the day, Jonathan Neudorf pulling out all the stops to get up to 5th and then hang on to it.
That will feel like a win for that group, but just to have that form of car run so competitively here. Great drive by Neudorf, great racecraft to hang on to it. He wanted it in the worst possible way you could see from his driving behavior throughout that race. It was really a fun race to watch.
Constantino got around Nick Roberts, it appears, as well on the final lap, or at least the final couple of laps. That incident still under review. We have not seen a final ruling on the Roberts and Coons contact, so there is still the potential for a few changes in those results prior to race number 2. But as far as the result on track is concerned, Gyumin Kim, the young man who just a couple of years ago was driving on a simulator just for fun, finds himself racing thousands of miles away from home, and he'll be packing some hardware into the suitcase going back to South Korea.
Yeah, it's got to be a wild ride and sort of a dream come true for him to be here on U.S. soil at one of the most famed circuits in all of North America. We said home to a U.S. Grand Prix since now 2012. And I would imagine when he drove into this facility and saw the enormity of the stage here, that had to really bring goosebumps to him, I would think.
I did ask him, does this track remind you of anything you've driven before? And he said, nope, just on the sim, but nothing in real life. Tell you what, he's a quick study.
Yeah.
Really impressive. And I suspect, even though it wasn't a win, Jeff Rieke is going to be pretty proud of this, because he's worked so hard to cultivate the relationship with the Hyundai South Korea folks. He's been over racing in South Korea over the last few years from time to time, and now bringing South Korea's best to his team and exposing them to the North American audience. That is something to be very proud of, and I'm sure Jeff is.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful relationship. It works both ways. Hyundai have given he and the team some great support, but Jeff Rieke makes a lot happen with not always the most resources. So there's Kim, he celebrates. What a great day for that young man.
His team owner in Korea, Jay Park, there to celebrate with him. There's Jeff coming over to say congratulations. Oh, look at the smile. Says it all, doesn't it? Fantastic performance. Showcasing just how much talent there is around the world. Credit to Hyundai and Rieke Autosport for giving it the chance to flourish here this weekend. Good job by Michael Garcia as well. Final step of the podium. That Acura just getting stronger and stronger, it seems like. It debuted a year ago. Michael, he'll be busy this weekend. He's got a lot of back-to-back sessions coming his way with some Pirelli GT4 America commitments as well. Let's hear now from a first-time TC America race winner. Gyumin Kim is with Amanda.
Gyumin, you step out of your race car to a big hug from Jay Park, who's just right here off of camera. Jeff Rieke came over and said, that was awesome. You pick up the pole today, you get the win, you'll be on the pole tomorrow. How did you figure out COTA so fast?
I was in my home in Korea. I was trying to practice with the simulator, which is iRacing, and with the TCR car, because now in the iRacing, the TC car. So I just practiced very a lot, and I just tried to do my best, and Jeff was has a super pace. It works well, I think. Yeah.
Getting the win here on American soil, what are you most proud of?
First, thank you for the TCT Racing, which is my team in Korea, and Hyundai has gave me this opportunity for this wonderful track. Yeah, and my team crews, the Generator and the Rieke Autosports team crews, are the best. Yeah, they built the best car, and that's gave me a good result for this race, I think.
Congratulations, Gyumin. We'll see you on pole tomorrow.
Congratulations to him for sure, and keep a tight hold on that microphone there, Amanda. I think Gyumin might wanted to take that away for a potential trophy, but he'll get another one here in just a matter of moments. To look back at the way race one played out, and he was, of course, the pole sitter. Got a great getaway. This was early in the going when the track was still quite damp, and Jonathan Neudorf was the man on the move in the early going, taking advantage of those damp conditions in the four-wheel drive in his Toyota.
Yeah, he really put on a great show there to hang on to that top five finish. It was exciting all the way through this relatively short race with the wet conditions that we encountered in the opening laps.
Really good scrap between Michael Garcia and PJ Gronke. Ultimately, Garcia in the Acura was able to win out in that duel, but really great stuff. However, our eyes were fixated on the battle between Neudorf, Attrell, and Koons. It was absolutely fantastic. They swapped those positions multiple times. Everyone at the very limit of adhesion. This was a heart and mouth moment for the race leader. Really, though, the one time there was some serious jeopardy. Rica was there keeping him honest, but that could have ended a lot differently.
Yeah, he put on a show in many ways.
Certainly did. That was spectacular. Human Kim from that bicycle moment, though, all the way to victory lane and ended up with a 1.1 second margin at the stripe. First time racing here in North America in TC America, and Human Kim is a race winner. We'll do it all over again tomorrow, but I'll tell you what, that set the stage nicely.
It did. I mean, I think a lot of teams and manufacturers will be very happy with their performance. And for Jeff Ricker, he'll be proud that his team finished up with a 1-2. All of the cars were super competitive. PJ Gronke followed up with that podium run at Sonoma with another top 4 finish. So good points on the board for him.
Sun starting to peek out from behind the clouds in a race that started with the threat of rain. Now, a beautiful sun-splashed evening to celebrate race 1 of the weekend for TC America, powered by Skip Barber. Human Kim stands atop the podium. Jeff Rica alongside to his left. Michael Garcia for Skip Barber Racing on the right-hand side of the screen, finishing 3rd here today. Michael just gets stronger and stronger as he adapts to this new championship.
Yeah, he does. Really solid young driver, and he's learning the ropes quickly, and he's knocking on the door. His fast laps were right there with these 2 Hyundais that finished in front of him.
Comes out of the Florida club racing scene, racing in FARA and SCCA. And has been, he and his brother both have come through the Skip Barber schools as well, the 3-day school, the 2-day school, and then ending up graduating into the race seat. PJ Gronke welcomed up on to the stage as well as the Masters race winner. And he'll be thrilled to take a trophy back home with him to Canada, and would not be surprised to see him bounce back tomorrow just that little bit stronger and go for an overall podium.
Yeah, for sure. He's got some pace in that race car, and he can look at the data tonight to see what his 2 teammates were doing who finished ahead of him. Looks like Kim needs a little bit of help with the spraying the champagne, but as he performs, he's going to get more and more.
He'll get some practice.
He'll get some practice, that's right.
No doubt about it. Well, that is a wrap for race 1 of the weekend. Again, race number 2 comes up tomorrow here on these same channels. Hope you join us for that. For Amanda, Cal, and our entire team, I'm Ryan. So long for the evening from Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas.